Thanks for watching this short video on resolving duplication in BOSS. If you're watching this video, that means you're in the process of upgrading to version 8.1, which we are excited to release. This release has a bunch of great updates, and of course the biggest being Chrome compatibility. Along with that, of course, you can read the release notes for a full description of all of the things that have been updated. And one of those is the topic of today's video about duplication. Historically, BOSS has not really cared if you had, for example, a customer and a property with the same name. However, as time has gone on, this has caused issues with the accounting system and the integrations there. So in version 8.1, we've decided to address that to hopefully lessen the accounting integration issues that come up as a result of that. And BOSS will actually do some validation now and warn you and give you an error if there are some duplications. But in order to get to that point, instead of having you upgrade and find those errors yourself, we've developed a process to pull those out and have you address them before you actually upgrade, which is the purpose of this video. By this point, you should have received a spreadsheet from the operations and client success teams. And this spreadsheet will be what we discussed today and how we resolve the duplication ahead of actually upgrading your site. Here on my screen is an example of that spreadsheet with some example errors on it. In summary, there are 6 errors of duplication that could be found. You may receive all 6, you may receive just 1 or 2 or some of these errors. More than likely, though, you will have multiple errors of each type. We'll just discuss one of each and how to best resolve each situation. The first type of error that might be found, as I mentioned earlier, is a customer name that matches a property name. The suggestion here, the instructions, you can either change the customer name or the property name in BOSS to make them unique. Here on this spreadsheet are both of those names. In this case, the table 1 is the customer and the table 2 is the property. And it lists the BOSS ID numbers as well as the name that you would see in the system. Instead of having you go through and change these names in the system yourself, we've provided this spreadsheet so that you can actually enter the new name and have that sent back to us so that we can update it in BOSS. So in this example, I can either change the customer name or the property name. For example, I might change this to say Creekside Business Park and abbreviate part of the name. This would be an acceptable way to make the names unique. You could also do that to the property name. That is totally up to you which one you want to change, but you only do need to change one of them. The second is a customer name that might match a vendor. For example, in this column I have Walmart as a customer, but Walmart's also a vendor in my accounting system. And those would be an issue, and those would be a duplicate error that needs to be resolved. In the case of these two names, I could either change the customer name here on the spreadsheet. For example, maybe I put a period at the end or make the name slightly unique, or I can change the vendor name. However, because we don't have direct access to your accounting system, if you do choose to change the vendor name, this would be changed in the accounting system directly. And this is noted here in the suggestion box. Please either change the customer name in BOSS or the vendor name in the accounting system to make them unique. And if you choose to change it in BOSS, you would enter it here in the new name column 1. The third error is a property name that matches the vendor. This is very similar to the customer name we just mentioned, and it would be resolved in the same way. Maybe you abbreviate this and say, okay, let's take out and put an ampersand symbol in there. This could be resolved in that way. You could also go into the accounting system and change the vendor name as well, just something to make them unique. Number 4, the employee name matches a vendor. In this case, these are both accounting system values, so you would not enter anything here in the spreadsheet for these. Both would have to be changed, or one or the other would have to be changed in the accounting system itself. So either the employee name is updated or the vendor name is updated, something to make this unique. For example, I probably couldn't change the employee name, so in this case I would change the vendor's name to maybe something like John Doe-vendor doesn't have to be that dramatic of a change, but that is one example of how you might make that unique. Number 5, the customer name matches the employee. In this case, you can either change the customer name in BOSS or the employee name in the accounting system. So we have Patrick Jones, both a customer and an employee. If we were to change the employee name, which again is probably not likely for payroll and legal purposes, I would probably need to change the customer name rather instead. One example that is commonly done to make this unique is to maybe put the last name, comma, and then the first name. And this would be an example of how you could make this unique. The last error, again, is very similar to that one, and that's a property name that matches an employee name. Again, if we need to change the employee name, that would be done in the accounting system and not in the spreadsheet. However, if we want to change the property name, then we can do so here. One example of that, again, could be Steve Smith becomes Smith, comma, Steve. So in summary, we want to resolve these duplicates so that you don't get these errors once you open up version 8.1 of BOSS in your site. We want to address these ahead of time. Now, there are 6 different types. If it's a customer and property, then you can enter those names here in the spreadsheet. If it's an employee name or a vendor name, then those would need to be addressed in the accounting system directly. If you have any further questions on this, feel free to submit a support ticket. We'd be happy to address any particular questions that may be related to your data. Hopefully this video has helped you understand this process. Once we get this spreadsheet back from you, we can continue with the upgrade process. We will first make those updates and resolve those duplicates and do a double check to make sure that they have been resolved before moving forward. Again, thanks for watching this video, and we look forward to hearing how version 8.1 is going to help you, and thank you for addressing these duplicates.